Hi, my name is Susan Papalardo, and I'm the co-founder of SplashForward. Thank you for joining us today. SplashForward is thrilled to be able to introduce to you some super special Olympic swimmers who are going to share their early aquatic stories. They will share with you how their first experiences in the water sparked a thrill and how their aquatic journeys gave them skills that they use every single day to rise to their personal challenges and to cope with life's tougher moments. They want to spend time with you to show you how you can gain these experiences and skills to chase your dreams. It all starts with having access to water and learning how to swim. Our nonprofit SplashForward is working with our local cities, our school districts, our regional players, and our community organizations to form ongoing partnerships that will help us bring new world-class aquatics facilities to our communities where everyone can have equitable access to water. On behalf of SplashForward, I want to give a big thank you to the sponsors who helped bring this event to you. Our supporting sponsors, Pacific Northwest Swimming, Mirtha Pools, and Clark Newber. And our media sponsor, Parent Map. And a special shout out to Swimming World for helping us get the word out about this event to you. To begin our show, I am thrilled to be able to introduce to you our host for the hour, 3-time Olympian and all-around amazing person, Elizabeth Beisel.
Hello, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me. Susan, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. So as you guys know, my name is Elizabeth Beisel. I'm a 3-time Olympian, 2-time Olympic medalist, and world champion for Team USA. But more importantly today, I am your MC of today's webinar presented by SplashForward. And I want to personally thank SplashForward for all that they do in the swimming community and the amount that they passionately advocate for all aquatics needs, from swimming lessons to health to recreation to competitive programs. All that you guys are doing is making a huge difference. And I have to point out, today is May 1st, and May is National Water Safety Month. And what better way to kick it off than with our webinar today presented by SplashForward. And getting pools to the point where they are easily accessible is going to help all of the communities surrounding in Washington and the Seattle area. And it's going to save lives. And speaking of that, swimming lessons reduce the risk of drowning by 88%. And summer is right around the corner. So we're getting to that time of year where we want to be in the pool or the ocean or a lake, whatever body of water that it is that you normally visit. You want to be safe. You want to have that peace of mind that you and your loved ones are safe and they know how to swim. And for me, that's why I got into swimming. I never dreamed that me taking my swimming lesson with my mom at 6 months old would turn into an Olympic career for me. But I grew up in the ocean state, so my mom and my dad knew that it was really important for me to be introduced to the water as early as possible. And if you're thinking, is it too late? I'm an adult, I don't know how to swim. It is never too late. And I hope that by the end of this webinar, you are inspired by me and all of the other fellow Olympians that truly got into this amazing sport that brought us all here together because they wanted to be safer around the water. And with that, our first messages are going to come from 2 amazing Olympians that I was lucky enough to be on teams with, and that's Margaret Hoelzer and Jendrick.
Hi, my name is Margaret Hoelzer. I am a 2-time Olympian and a 3-time Olympic medalist in backstroke. I moved to the Pacific Northwest in 2008 when I was still training professionally, just before the Olympic trials for the coach. And I have been living here ever since and am a part of the community now and love it. I support SplashForward's movement to bring pools to the community because we live in the greater Seattle area and there is water everywhere. So with this much water, everybody needs to know how to swim. It's a very, very important skill. It's a life skill, and it's one that will just bring everyone joy. So in addition to being important because it's life-saving, it's one that just will bring you joy throughout your life. So we need pools.
My name is Megan Jendrick, two-time Olympian, 2 golds and a silver medal at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney, Australia, and also a silver medal at the Beijing Olympics in 2008. I've been swimming for a very, very long time and got into that when I was about 9 years old. After a long career in swimming, I stayed in the sport and became an aquatics coordinator with the city of Fife and run a very large swim lesson program there, and then moved on to become the Parks, Recreation, and Aquatics Director. And we run about 13,000 kids through our swim lesson program every single year in a very small city-owned pool. Outside of my duties as a city director, I also run my own private lesson swimming business and run private lessons every single weekend as part of aqua swim camps. So I'm so glad to be here today talking about swimming and promoting the sport that I love so much. So thank you so much for having me. So I got into swimming when I was about 9 years old, almost by mistake. My dad swam in high school and played water polo. And when I was really young, they bought property out on the beach. And so I have an older brother and a younger sister, and they really just wanted us to be safe in and around the water. So when I was really young, I took swim lessons at a local YMCA and never really got too comfortable putting my head underwater. But when I was 9 years old, that was the point where my parents said, "It is time, you need to learn how to swim." And so they took my older brother and I to a local high school pool to try out for the swim team. And I was still pretty timid around the water, not too comfortable, but my older brother, he seemed like a pro to me. He was 11 at the time, and when we showed up to the pool, the swim coach just said, you need to take a swim test to see what group we're going to place you in. And he dove right in the water and swam a length freestyle, no problem. And then it was my turn. And I remember being so shy and timid and sliding in the water in the lane closest to the wall and looking up at the coach and going, "You mean I have to do a whole length?" So I took a deep breath, not knowing exactly what freestyle was, pushed off the wall and basically started flailing my arms. And I came up gasping for air. And I had only made it to the first set of flags. So I'd gone about 5 yards. Well, that length that took my brother about 30 seconds to do took me a few minutes. And I remember finally making it to the other end and looking up at the coach, and he just said, "Okay, that was pretty good. Can you show us some breaststroke?" And I remember looking up at him and just going, "What in the world is breaststroke?" I had no idea. And so at 9 years old, I was placed in a group of swimmers who were all half my age and much faster than me and knew how to do all of the strokes. And it was really quite embarrassing. And I remember coming home after that very first practice and talking to my parents and saying, "I don't think I want to do this anymore." And they said, "You need to stick with it for this first week. And if you still are deciding that you don't like it at the end of the week, then we can look into trying something else." And so I went home and I started thinking about what it was that made all of those other kids much faster and much better than me. And I made a few goals for myself. And my very first goal was to learn how to side breathe in freestyle. And my second goal was to learn how to do a flip turn. And so the next few practices that I went to, I stayed after and just asked the coach for help in those 2 areas. And I felt so accomplished when I learned how to do those things. And by the time that first week of practices came to an end, my parents said, "Do you want to stick with this or do you want to try something else?" And I thought, no, I've seen some improvement here. I think I want to stick with it. And so I kept setting goals and kept practicing. And at the end of the summer, I swam in my very first swim meet and won a blue ribbon in the 50 freestyle. And I still have that blue ribbon to this day. So I ended up enjoying it a lot more. I continued setting goals, and eventually I was swimming in the same group as my older brother and having a lot of fun with it. And when I was 12 years old, that is when the 1996 Olympics were on TV. And I remember watching those Olympics, and a local Olympian, Amanda Beard, who was only 14 at the time, was racing there in the breaststroke events. And she came home with gold and silver medals. And I thought, that is so amazing. Like, she is only 2 years older than me, and here she is at the Olympics winning medals. I bet I could do that too. And so I went to my parents and my coach and my friends, and I said, guess what? I'm going to be on the next Olympic team. And I got essentially the same reaction out of all of them. And that was, yeah, okay, good luck with that. Have fun. But I was so convinced that I could make the next Olympic team that I went into my room and I started setting goals for myself. And I came up with a 4-year plan on how I was going to make the next Olympic team, and over 100 goals that were going to help me to get there. And sure enough, over the next 4 years, I followed that plan to a T. I wanted to make junior nationals and then senior nationals and then Olympic trials and go on to the Olympics. And with each of those main goals, I had 20 or 30 smaller goals that went along with it. And at age 16, I went off to Olympic trials ranked #1 in the world. And I made my first Olympic team and got to head to Sydney, Australia. And it was so much fun. I was the youngest female athlete on the team. And some of you may have heard of the youngest male athlete on that 2000 Olympic team. He goes by the name of Michael Phelps. So we were the youngest 2 Olympians there and had a lot of fun. And I got to race in the 100-meter breaststroke and came home with an Olympic gold medal in the individual event. And then 5 days later, I got to be part of the 400-meter medley relay, along with BJ Bedford, Jenny Thompson, and Dara Torres. And we not only came home with another gold medal in that event, but we also broke the world record by 3.5 seconds. And so at 16 years old, I got to come home from the Olympic Games with 2 gold medals. And I was on top of the world. I was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at the time. I was a junior in high school. I had a police escort with me wherever I went. And I thought, man, this is life. This is amazing. And swimming and goal setting had gotten me there. And I remember showing up to my first day of school with the police escort, and there was so much media there that there was a press conference before I even started school that day. And, I thought, man, this is pretty darn incredible. I wonder if this is what the rest of my life is going to be like. And well, life went on. I graduated from high school. I started college. I switched teams and coaches. I got married. And I had kind of forgotten during that time what it was that had made me so successful. And that was going to practice every day with a specific purpose and something to work towards. And by the time the 2004 Olympic trials rolled around, I was going to practice every day, working really hard, but I ended up taking 3rd place. And for anyone that follows swimming, 3rd place at Olympic trials is the worst because the top 2 people make the Olympic team. And I missed making the 2004 Olympic team by 11/100ths of a second. And it was heartbreaking. Being the defending Olympic champion and not even being able to compete was difficult. I was ranked 5th in the world that year, but because I was the 3rd American, I missed making the team. And I still ended up going to the Olympics with Sports Illustrated. Since I had been on the cover of Sports Illustrated a few years prior, I got to go and host events for them in Athens, Greece, and attend the swimming events and watch from the stands. But it was difficult not being there ready to compete. And so when I came back from the 2004 Olympics, from watching in the stands, I thought, you know what? I've had a really great run at this, but I guess I'm ready to retire. And I was 20 years old, which seems just so silly to think about retirement at 20 years old now. But that's what I did. And I got into coaching. And when I started coaching, it was all of those really young 4- and 5-year-old swimmers that were just learning how to swim. And in watching them, it made me just really, really miss the sport. And so I decided to get back into it. And I'm very glad that I did, because I started setting goals and going to practice every day with a specific purpose. And when the 2008 Olympic trials rolled around, I ended up making the Olympic team and got to go to Beijing and compete there. And at the Beijing Olympics, I ended up taking 5th place individually, but was also part of the 400 medley relay, where we won a silver medal. And so to date, I have 2 Olympic gold medals and a silver medal. And that's because of swimming. And the goal setting that swimming taught me, the time management that it taught me. My routine when I was younger, I would wake up at 3:30 in the morning and we would drive an hour and a half to the pool because that's the only place where we could get pool time was way out in Eatonville at the Eatonville High School pool. We would swim there from 5 o'clock until 6:30, then drive about 50 minutes back to Puyallup, and I would attend school. And then after school, we would go to the gym and then drive all the way out to the King County Aquatic Center and Federal Way and swim there from 6 to 8 p.m. I'd get home around 9 or so at night, do homework, eat dinner, go to bed around 10, and then wake up at 3:30 again the next day. And so because there's such a lack of pools in this area, we ended up driving around to multiple cities just to get our regular workouts in. Some of the cities in this area that I've swam in is Eatonville, Fife, Seattle, King County, the Federal Way, Aquatic Center, just a number of pools where you drive around because there are not many pools with pool time available that swim teams can get into. So I'm really glad that Bellevue, the city of Bellevue and the Parks and Rec and all of the neighboring jurisdictions are looking forward to getting a pool built and to SplashForward for taking the initiative to get this off the ground. I think it's really encouraging to see another pool, especially a 50-meter pool, being built in this area. It is very much needed and will be well utilized as well. The other huge thing is goal setting. Every single day I went to practice with a specific purpose and a specific goal. And I would come up at the beginning of the season with a list of goals that I wanted to accomplish. And some of those came down to a goal time, dropping time in certain events. Some of them came down to improvement in certain areas. So for me, I really was not good at turns. I love long course training because I slowed down on turns all the time. It's something I really had to work on. So improving in turns or pullouts or finishing a race really strong. I had all sorts of goals in those areas, and every single day I would work to accomplish those goals. That's what got me through. I was never a talented swimmer when it came to my physical ability. I'm 5'7", and when I was training hard, 140 pounds. And that is not very strong or very tall for an elite level athlete. Most of the people that I was racing against were over 6 feet tall. So never really physically talented. I think my coaches even got frustrated with me because I didn't have a great feel for the water. They could tell me, hey, your right arm is 2 inches higher than your left. You need to work on that. And I just didn't have the feel for the water to make changes really quickly like a lot of other swimmers did. But the area that I was really talented in was my mental strength and ability. My mom even said that I willed myself to win because I knew without a doubt in my mind when I swam at the Sydney Olympics that I was going to come home with the Olympic gold medal. There was no doubt in my mind at all. I went to practice every single day thinking about that gold medal, and I knew when I stepped up on the blocks that I was going to win. So my mental strength and ability to push through the pain, I think, was my overall talent in swimming. And then the mental ability to set goals and stick with them no matter what. That was always really important to me. And one of the things that I focused on quite a bit outside of the pool was visualizing my races and visualizing success and what that looked like and doing things perfectly. And when I did that over and over and over again in my mind, it was so much easier to do it in real life. Learning how to swim is so important, especially learning at a young age and having access to swim lessons and a safe place to swim. Every single day in the United States, 10 people drown. Having access to a swimming facility and swim lessons can reduce those drowning rates by up to 88%. So in the city of Fife, we run swim lessons year round, and we see about 13,000 kids in swim lessons, which is really impressive given the fact that Fife is a city of only 10,000 people. We have people coming in from all over the area to take swim lessons. Just for the month of April, we have 685 kids on a wait list to take swim lessons, which is just so impressive on one hand and terrifying on the other, because there is such a lack of pools and availability in this area. We need more pools. We need more swim instructors. We need to get these kids in swim lessons, especially during a time of COVID, where for the better part of a year, many of these aquatic facilities have been closed. Kids have lost out on the opportunity to learn those safety swimming skills, and it's really setting kids back. In the city of Bellevue, there isn't a whole lot of pools. I've swam at the Bellevue Club a few different times, and I know that the people that swim in the Bellevue area, the high schools share different pool time, and they start their swim meets at 8 and 10 o'clock at night. I have clients that said that they didn't get done with their high school swim meet until after midnight, because it's back to back to back high school swim meets, because there's just such a lack of available pools and such a great need. The last year has been really tough, right? We've been locked inside since March of last year, and it's been hard to get out and about. Find a safe place to recreate this summer. Get out and enjoy the sun, enjoy the local parks with your family, enjoy local trails, and if you have the chance, get out and enjoy the water. Find a safe place where you can have fun outside or a local pool. Get out there and keep a positive attitude. The last year has been really hard on everyone, so hang in there and enjoy the summer.
Hi, my name is Tom Malchow. I'm a 3-time Olympian, gold and silver medalist, former world record holder, and team captain. I've called the Pacific Northwest home for the last 16 years and can't think of a better place to call home or raise a family. One of my favorite quotes says, "If there's magic on this planet, it's found in water." Let's bring more water to the east side to help people find that magic through learning to swim, recreation in the pool with family and friends, and competitive swimming. Let's spread the message. Let's support SplashForward, and let's make this dream a reality and let people find that magic for themselves.
Okay, I absolutely loved Megan's piece about talking about goal setting and setting those small goals, because those end up turning into big goals and big dreams coming true. And I'm going to use this time to share a little story about mine and those dreams that I had as a younger child. So I actually remember, and this will resonate with everybody in the Pacific Northwest, especially West Coast, when Amanda Beard came home from the 2004 Olympics, I believe. She did a clinic in Rhode Island, and I was a huge fan. That was the second Olympics that I had seen on TV, but the one that I really understood what the Olympics were. I was 12 years old. And I went to this clinic and I was so excited. I was this little girl. I was in my swimsuit, cap, and goggles the entire drive there. I was ready to get into the water. And Amanda, before she started the clinic, she sat all of us kids down and she looked at us and she said, "At least one of you in these stands will be an Olympian one day." And I remember being little Elizabeth and thinking, oh my gosh, Amanda Beard thinks that I could be an Olympian one day. This is great. It's going to be me. And all it took was Amanda to say that to really plant that seed into my mind about, wow, this Olympic goal of mine is no longer just this elusive dream. It's something that I truly think I can make happen. And so like Megan said in her message, you know, she mapped out a 4-year plan, and I did the same exact thing with my coach. And I felt crazy telling my coach that I wanted to go to the Olympics, especially at such a young age. But it was my dream and it was what I wanted to do. And so for those next 4 years, just like Megan, just like any Olympian ever, I spent going to practice every single day with a purpose, working hard, believing in that Olympic dream. And I remember I went to the 2008 Olympic trials 4 years later. I was just a baby. I was 15 years old. So just like Megan and Amanda at one point, I would be the youngest member of that Olympic team. And I swam my races at those Olympic trials, and I made the Olympic team in 2 individual events. And that was the 400 IM and the 200 backstroke. And I remember after every Olympic trials, it's an 8-day long meet, and they parade the entire Olympic team around the pool in front of the crowd. You know, in Omaha, we normally have the trials. This year is a little different, but normally with a full capacity crowd, there's up to 20,000, I think, people in that stadium. And you get to be walked around the entire pool deck with the fellow teammates that had made the Olympic team that week, just like you. And they do it in alphabetical order. And so for me, my last name being Beisel, it's B-E-I, I was right behind Amanda Beard, and she's B-E-A. And so it was such an amazing moment for me to be standing in line in this dark tunnel, about to be paraded around the pool deck as a member of the 2008 Olympic team, and having this like outer body experience of bringing myself back to that time that Amanda had a clinic when I was 12 years old and told us that one of us would be an Olympian one day. And there I was standing behind Amanda as an Olympian, but also her teammate. And I was so intimidated by Amanda. You know, I still had posters of her in my room. But I remember tapping her on her shoulder. I was like, Amanda, you probably have no idea who I am, and you probably don't remember this, but you are a huge part of the reason why I am here today. And it was just an amazing full circle moment. And, you know, for those of you that are aspiring Olympians and you have those dreams, go for it. You know, Megan is such a good example. I am such a good example where I'm 5'6". I'm size 7.5 feet. You know, everything that Megan said resonated with me so much because we are similar. You know, we were the youngest, we were the smallest, but that didn't matter. We still had this big dream that was so much more than just ourselves. And we made it happen, even though it was crazy. And so I encourage each and every one of you to go for that dream. And it's not easy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it was easy. And one day I woke up and, oh my gosh, I was an Olympian. It takes hard work every single day. It takes believing in yourself every single day, even when you don't have that confidence. And I think the mental confidence that you have standing behind the blocks is what separates a good swimmer from a great swimmer. And for those of you who are competing athletes right now, a trick that I like to use that I've actually learned from Rebecca Soni, which we're going to get to in a little bit, but one trick that I used as an athlete was when I had nerves and I had doubts and fears of how I was going to swim, I looked at it as if those thoughts were being looked through with a flashlight. So if I was only shining a flashlight on the negative thoughts and the negative energy and the doubts that I had, that's exactly how I was going to swim. But if I was able to move that flashlight from the negative thoughts to the positive thoughts, that's when I was able to swim my best. When I gave myself the grace to know that I deserved to swim fast because of all the hard work that I had done. And swimming is not an easy sport. Anybody can tell you. And, you know, I encourage each and every one of you to get into the water, whether you know how to swim or not. You know, it is so important to have that life-saving skill, to have pools easily accessible. And, you know, if you're a parent and you don't know how to swim, please get in the water, because the statistics show that if your child doesn't have parents that know how to swim, they're only 13% chance of learning how to swim. So it's not just for you, do it for your kids. And I applaud SplashForward's vision to provide more pools and communities in the Seattle area, because I'm from Rhode Island, the ocean state. We don't have many pools at all. I would have to drive, just like Megan, an hour to an hour and a half to just get a pool. And I think not just for competitive swimmers, but pools make healthier communities. They make people stronger, and they're safe places for all people from all walks of life to feel safe and equal in, especially if you actually know how to swim and you're confident around the water. So I want to thank SplashForward for every single thing that they are doing in the community right now, especially up there in Seattle. And I'm going to get there soon. Hopefully when COVID has settled down a little bit and everybody is vaccinated and it's safe to go, I would love to visit and help out in any way that I can. But I truly want to hone in on that messaging that learning how to swim is for everyone. It is not just for kids. It is never too late. So I encourage everybody watching, get into a pool. May is Water Safety Month. Now is the time. Summer is right around the corner, and there's no better time to get into the water. And I also want to remind everybody here on this webinar, at the bottom of your screen, there's an Ask a Question box. That is for you to ask any question that you want, whether it's water safety related or Olympics related, whatever, just throw a question in there and we're going to get to it at the end. But without further ado, I'm so excited to introduce our next special guest. She is a 6-time Olympic medalist, former world record holder. She's the first woman to break 2 minutes and 20 seconds in the 200 long course meter breaststroke. She's also the co-founder of Rise Athletes, which is a mindset development program for youth athletes. And she's going to lead us in a little dryland workout right now. And it is my honor and it is my pleasure to introduce Rebecca Soni.
Already the defending champion, world record holder. She's right on there. Well, this would be something. 2:20 is the magic mark. Ifamova coming home hard for a medal. Soni's inside the mark. We're going to see, for the first time ever, a woman swim inside 2:20. She's done it. 2:19.59.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Soni. Welcome to this little dryland. Really excited to share with you guys a couple of things, but also really excited to be here with you today at SplashForward and the importance of bringing you to the water and the water to the community. Really exciting things, especially being a Pacific Northwesterner myself. I'm down in Oregon, but not too far away, and really always think back to all my swim meets out in the Seattle area and going there and traveling there as a kid, and really, you know, what made me fall in love with the area in general and eventually move here. So I'm really happy to be your neighbor up here and glad to have you here for this workout. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to back up a little bit, but today we're really just trying to focus on a couple of things. I'm not going to kill you with a super intense workout, but another really important part of dryland, preparing for swimming, is really just getting to know your own body, how you move in the water and how you move on land as well. So a lot of what we're going to be doing here is based on, you know, just overall body awareness. We're not just going to be doing the movements, but thinking about how we're doing the movement. And in doing that, you know, we're also going to work a little bit on our balance. So I'll try to offer a couple of different, you know, varieties of things. If you like the first version better, just stick to that. So work with your body, what works for you. I'll also be offering some little cues for you throughout to remind you to use your core, because everything is core. Swimming, everything is core. It all comes from our core, whether we're swimming freestyle or breaststroke, it all starts at the core. Likewise, all of these exercises will be bringing you back to that core as well. So we'll do a little bit for our arms, a little bit for our legs, and then of course, we're going to end on the core itself. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. So really important to be thinking about our body position. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see, but essentially we're just going to start with our hands on our hips. Feet are right around hips distance apart, and we're just going to tilt our hips forward and back. And really using those hands to kind of pull those hips backwards and forwards. We're just doing a little bit of hip warm up here. So let me actually, so you can see that it is kind of like sticking your booty out and then kind of pulling it in. And as you tilt your hips in that forward direction, really engaging those abs. We'll just do 2 more. And pulling those abs in and tight. And when I say pull your abs in tight, it just means engage them, not like sucking it in, but just engaging. So when your core is engaged, you're really able to have this nice, long, streamlined body. And ultimately, as we tuck our hips out, we don't want to swim like this. This is not very connected. We want to be nice and flat in that back and have that core engaged. And that's going to be a great swimming position. It also means that's where your abs are working from. So use that in these exercises today. So let's just do one more little hip opening circles, just 5 each direction. As we do this, we're working on our balance of our standing leg. So just 5 in each direction, then switch legs, and just bringing a little bit of flexibility, mobility, and balance to our hips area. Oop, not always the easiest. My right foot is a lot worse than my left, so you might notice that you're not super balanced yourself. So we're gonna get into some lunges, just 10 each side. And you can either do all on your left leg like I'm doing and then switch, or you can alternate. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And as we're doing these, we're switch to the other side. 10 on this side. 4, 5. Again, just keeping that core nice and tight as you're doing this. You don't want to be loosey-goosey and flopping around. Hands on your hips, keeping steady. I'm not always balanced myself, but it's nice to have that stability. So let's take our right leg out into that lunge position. And now we'll just do 10 pulses. So back knee just bending down. 10, 9, 8. So as we go a little bit slow, this is not about speed, but more about that balance and starting to stretch into those legs. I lost count. Let's go with 3, 2, 1. So we're gonna keep on this right leg and kind of burn it out a little bit. Almost like you're about to go to your blocks. You're gonna stay in this lunge position and just 10 times, bring that left knee up. 3, 4, you can add your arms. 5, 6, 7, again, balanced. 8, 9, 10. Let's bring that left knee up and straighten your right leg. So again, there's a lot of balance happening here. This is my hard balance leg, so just holding that here. We're actually gonna pull that left knee up, give it a stretch. My right calf is burning. It doesn't like to stand on one leg for a long time. And we'll go ahead and straighten that left leg out. So here we're doing just slow, holding a lot of standing leg burn. So you're really strengthening that standing leg. We'll go ahead and do some slow swings, just 3 of these, touching your hands to the ground. You can either keep that left leg straight. Again, here's our balance, nice and slow. Number 2, you can also bend that knee in if that's a little bit more comfortable for you. Let's do one more, nice and slow. I'm wobbling all over the place. Whoops. I'm bringing it on up. So after the 3rd one, you're gonna hold that leg up and we're just gonna come all the way down and back. So finding that lunge position, giving our standing leg a little break, dropping that back knee down. We're just gonna pull your chest forward. So a little stretch here as we catch our breath, let go of all our balancing, and then we'll pull it back. Starting to stretch a little bit into that right leg, and really, you can even kind of massage it like I am, helping it to loosen up. So we're just gonna move back and forth as you come forward, pulling that chest forward, really opening your hips again, and pulling it back. And once more, forward and back. So let's get into a little bit more movement here, similar to what we just did. We're gonna do some starting blocks. So here, you're gonna lift that back knee up and we're just gonna 10 times, I'll do it slowly first. Pressing up your back leg, almost like you're going into a start, right? But you're gonna stand up with your knee to your chest. So your arms are gonna push you back and stand up and then back down, all right? So let's do 10 of those, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Start stopping at the bottom. Let's switch it over to that other side. In transition, might as well fire up our core. Let's just do 10 leg switches, landing on the other side. So hands are gonna be down, just switch 10 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you need to put your left leg in front, we're now working on the other side. So let's go ahead and get back into our lunge. We're gonna start with those pulses. 10, 9, knee just dropping down. 7, 6, remember, nice and slow. 5, 4, 3, nice little stretch. 2, 1. Then we got our knee ends staying just right in this position here. You can have your hands on your hips, just pulling it in 10 times, nice and quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your left leg is staying exactly the same. 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. So we're gonna bring that knee, back knee, right knee now into your chest, straightening your standing leg. A little bit of a stretch here before we get into our balancing forward fold stretches. I don't know what to call them. I should think of a better name, but from here, you'll straighten that top leg and slowly 3 times, just down and up, leg swings back behind you, hands touch the ground, slowly up for 1. 2 more, nice and steady, and up, and number 3, and up. Slowly swing that back leg back behind you, knee goes down, and we're just gonna stretch it out a little bit. Starting with pulling those hips forward and really relaxing that back foot. This is all about getting that stretch, pulling your chest forward and pulling it back. Straightening your front leg, taking a few deep breaths and coming back forward. Let's just do 2 more back and forth. When you're coming forward, you're just pulling yourself forward, really opening your hips and stretching it back. Stretching out the backs of your legs here. Once again, forward and back. It's really good for your body when you're doing these back and forth movements. It's not just holding, but it's more dynamic in that way. All right, so now we got our starting blocks. Our back leg comes off the ground. It's straight back behind you. We're balancing on our front leg this time. Remember, hands pull back behind you as your back knee comes forward and you stand on up. So let's just go for 10 of these. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Holding it down below. We got those leg switches now, just like giant mountain climbers. Y'all know mountain climbers, but we're gonna do 10 giant ones. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Both feet can step back. Come on down to your knees. We're just gonna stretch out our feet a little bit. So make sure your toes are tucked underneath you, not flat, but tucked. And then just sit back on your heels. We're just gonna pause here and stretch these feet out. Maybe bringing those arms up. Arms are coming up next. So we're gonna start shaking them out, moving them around a little, circling in each direction, go the other way, and come on down. All right, so from this position, we were stretching out our feet a little bit and really just getting into some of those small muscles. We have a lot of muscles in our feet and our hands. Really important, certainly for kicking and pulling. Just good to stretch those things out, even our wrists a little bit. We'll give it another 10 seconds or so. You know, if you haven't done this before with your feet like this, it might be burning really badly. So I'll just do 5 more seconds here. Really good to do this. I like to do it in the mornings when I wake up. It just helps me feel really ready to go. So you can go ahead and let that go. We're gonna get into our arms a little bit. And so we're gonna start with our knees down. We're just gonna do, you know, similar like we did with switching back and forth between a couple of different things. We're gonna start with a push-up on our knees and then just stretching it back. So let's move like that 5 times. Again, it's not meant to be super hard. We're gonna add on to it. So going down and back. Again, not super fast. Number 2, we're just trying to like really warm up into our shoulders. Number 3, as you pull back, pull that butt really far back behind you, stretching your shoulders. Number 4, make sure that your elbows are right in next to your body. And 1 more. Coming up. So our next version of this is we're gonna actually be up in a full push-up position. So we'll be getting into some push-ups and same idea. So you can watch once. First, when we do our push-ups, you don't wanna be super out wiggly elbowed. Try to keep those elbows right next to your, kind of glued into the side of your body. So we're just gonna do push up and pull it back, okay? So let's do 5 of those. Here we go. And using your core this whole time. So come on up into plank, push up, and then come on back. Come back to a plank, push up to plank, and back. Let's do 3 more of those. So it's like a little bit of work with our push up, and a little bit of stretch. A little bit of work. Number 4, pull it back. And then forward. Number 5, push up, bring it back. Awesome. Let's go ahead and bring our knees down. So you can definitely get into that with a lot of building strength and also mixing it up with a bit of stretch. Really nice to work your body in that way. So you're not just strength, but actually strength and stretch together. Speaking of stretching, let's stretch our shoulders out a little bit further. So you're just gonna walk your hands a little forward. This one's kind of funny, funny looking, but your butt's gonna go up nice high in the air and your chest is gonna try to go down towards the ground. So us swimmers, we have really tight shoulders. This is a really nice stretch. Good for your shoulders. Ultimately, a lot of our arm work here is all about just stretching out and opening and taking good care of our shoulders to keep our shoulders healthy in the long run. So you can even walk those fingers a little further, get a little bit more of a stretch here, and just try to relax. Just 5 more seconds here. Good, and come on up. So I know that one looks funny, but oh man, it feels so good. So let's finish up our little push-up sequence. Get back into that push-up position. We're just gonna do some scapula push-ups. So those are really small, just keeping your arms straight or straight-ish. Definitely don't wanna be hyperextending or locking your elbows out. I'm just doing 10 presses where you drop your chest a little bit down with arms still straight and press them back up. So 10 times, here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Again, controlled and slow is the name of the game. For 5, 4, my core is shaking. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Press your booty on up into this down dog position. Stretching a little bit into the back of your legs, just letting yourself relax a little bit. Let's actually walk our hands back. We're going to stretch a little twist. So taking our right hand, threading it or touching, getting a hold of your left ankle and just giving it a nice little pull. You get a stretch in the back of your legs, and I'm feeling it in my shoulder of my left hand as well. It feels really nice. Just stretch a little. And then we can switch sides. Right hand comes back, left hand grabs the right foot ankle and just pull through and twist. and come on back. Let's drop our knees down. We're gonna get into some core work to finish it out. So just laying back onto your back, starting with my favorites, the dead bugs. They're really simple. Knees come up, arms come up, and then alternating. We're gonna just send the right leg out straight, left arm straight above you. So the secret to this is moving slow, switching sides, moving slow, but also making sure, just keep going as I talk here, switching sides, making sure that your core is pressing down. So if you were to take your hand and slide it under your back, there would be no space at all for you to be able to do that. So you're really smushing. You're not only a little dead bug on your back, but you're also pretending there's a little buggy underneath you that you're trying to smush. I don't like killing bugs. I like to take them outside, but we can make an imaginary bug and smush it with our low back. So let's just do 2 more. The reason I love these so much is it's not like you're doing a bunch of crunches and just trying to strengthen, but more just working on that body engagement and that core engagement, and with these nice slow movements, really building that support for yourself and coming on up. Awesome. So after our dead bugs, we're gonna do a little bit more shoulder stretching by taking your right hand underneath, just twisting. If you can grab your hands together, let's give a nice little shoulder stretch. The right leg goes over, crossing on both your arms and legs. You're like 2 little twisted knots. From here, we're just gonna do some crunches, so little suitcases. So arms and legs go out. We're just gonna do 10 each side and crunch all the way together for 10. Arms and legs touch the ground. Knees and elbows come together. 2, 3. Again, nice and slow. Don't forget that little buggy under your back that you're trying to smush. 5, 6. You want to keep that low back on the ground. 7, the entire time. So we're not just flopping down. 8, but really holding the entire time. 9, and 10. Awesome. Let's switch sides. So left hand now underneath the right, elbows hook, fingers grasp, and then left foot comes over, left knee comes over the right knee. So you're again this twisted little suitcase that's just gonna open and close. So here we go. Fingers and toes touch the ground and come together for 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So we want to make sure that as we come on up, when you're doing those slow movements, you're staying the same rhythm the whole time. You don't just rush when you get tired. Let's finish up with some Russian twists. So just hovering those knees, those toes off the ground. If that's hard for you, you can keep the toes on the ground. You're just gonna hold your hands. If you have a water bottle or something, you can hold that as well. Let's just do 20 twists. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 more. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Relax it down. So we're going to finish up here with one last thing. A little bit of stretch. Lean on back. Kick your legs over you. And just either let them hover off the ground. If you need to hold your hips, that's fine. If you can, this is a really big stretch on your back. So letting those toes fall back behind you. Only going as far as is comfortable. No need to push this. We're just trying to get a little bit of stretch here. We're gonna finish up with a nice little bit of work with what I call rollback burpees. So let's just do 5 of these. We start in this rolled back position. You just roll on up. I'm showing you this first time. You can either use your hands or just come right up if you can with your momentum. Do a little jump, roll it back, bit down. All right, so let's do 5 of those. Here we go. Number 1. Up. Roll it back. Take a little pause. Number 2. Up. Reaching your hands up as you jump. Number 3. Jump. Roll it back. Pause. Here we go. Number 4. Jump. Rolling it back. And number 5. And jump. Awesome. Well done. Really fun little workout. We got our legs, we got our arms. I'm gonna come a little closer. And we got a really good whole body stretch and workout in at the same time. Really great exercises for you to use maybe as you're getting ready for practice, want to stretch those shoulders out, or working on that hip flexibility. Catching my breath here. Hope you guys really enjoyed the workout and continue to enjoy being in the water, knowing how important it is to get in the water, play with your friends, and really appreciate this community for making that possible. So thank you all for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed these exercises and will continue to work on them so that you can be the best swimmer that you can. Thanks so much. I'm Rebecca Soni. I'll see you soon.
Guys, it's not every day you get to do a workout with Rebecca Soni. So I hope you understand how special that just was. And we thank Reb for giving us her time and her knowledge. I'm going to try those dead bugs later because I need to work on my core. But before we end today's webinar, I do want to get to some of the questions that were asked. And if there are some Olympians that are still on, Reb, Megan, if Margaret and Tom are here with us as well, feel free to answer those in the chat box. But I'm going to go in no particular order. This is from Katie, and she asked, what was your most memorable moment in the Olympics? And I think for me, and I'll answer on video since I'm here, my most memorable moment was probably standing on the podium next to Missy Franklin in the Turner backstroke in 2012. She had won the gold medal and I had won the bronze, and we were able to listen to our national anthem, and to be able to stand on a podium with one of my best friends and competitors from the same country that I was from was a really, really special moment. And I'm sure everybody has felt that amazing feeling of standing on the podium that's here today, whether they write it in the chat box or not. But I think also one of the coolest things about swimming is the people that it brings together. And the medals are great, the records are great, but at the end of the day, I think just the people that you meet are so incredible in the swimming world. And again, that's why we're all here. Megan answered. Breaking the world record as part of the 400 medley relay. So awesome to win gold with teammates. And that's one thing that I was always jealous of the relay swimmers because I never swam relay events. But I think cheering for relays it was the most fun experience because the entire team gets behind everybody. And it's just such an amazing thing to see a relay representing your country stand on top of the podium. And one of my favorites was dancing and laughing with the girls before the 4x100 medley relay in 2012. Another relay memory. And I think that's so cool. And I don't want to speak for Reb, but I think, something special about being on a relay is that bond that you have, especially with the Olympics, and you being at such a high pressure meet and race and moment, but still being able to laugh and giggle and have fun. It goes to show that us as Olympians are truly still just those little kids who fell in love with the sport, but we're just doing it at a high level. And yes, Reb, being roommates in 2008, Reb and I were actually roommates at the 2008 Olympics. So we go way, way, way back. We're dating ourselves now. But for the last question, which I'll remind everybody, how did you balance school and training for the Olympics? And again, it's hard. It takes a lot of time management. But I would advise, if you are striving to become an Olympian and going down that path, be open and honest with your teachers, with your coaches, with your family. I would emphasize that you are a student before an athlete, and school should always come first. And so for me, if I had a big project and I had to miss swim practice, I missed swim practice, but I was always honest And I never took a practice off just to take one off as an excuse. But luckily, when you're doing it with teammates, it makes it a little bit easier. And so I would lean on your teammates, your coaches, your family, your teachers, and just be upfront and honest. And yes, like Megan said, family always came first, then school, then swimming. Takes a lot of time management. And I think that's so true. You know, none of us would have ever been at the Olympics without the support from our family. And it takes a village. It truly does. And when we're on that podium, we're not standing there just for ourselves, but we're standing there for our teammates and our country and our family and our coaches and everybody that made that happen. So it's a really special thing to be on that podium because it makes you realize how much exterior work it took to get there that most people don't normally see. And with that, I want to make a few closing remarks. I want to thank all of the Olympians and all of the SplashForward ambassadors for advocating for water safety, especially in the month of May, which is Water Safety Month. We need more pool accessibility. The more pools we have, the more children learn how to swim. And it's not just children, it's adults, it's any age. It is a life-saving skill that brings communities together. It allows you to have fun around bodies of water in the summer, which we're heading into right now. And most importantly, it saves lives. So everybody joining us today, thank you so much for being here and giving us an hour of your time on a Saturday. And with that, we have one final message from SplashForward's Susan Pappalardo. Susan.
Hi there. Okay, so I hope you were thrilled with today. I have to just say a huge thank you to Elizabeth. Such strong messages that you brought into all the Olympians and our ambassadors. So just thank you for sharing your stories and telling us all your special tips and tricks, setting goals and with a specific purpose every day. I love it. So thank you, Elizabeth Beisel. Thank you, Rebecca Soni. Thank you, Megan Jendrick. And thank you, Margaret Hoelzer. And thank you, Tom Malchow. And a huge thank you to CG Sports Company for being an awesome team to work with to produce this event for us today. So thank you. Our mission is to create a year-round health and wellness oasis that becomes a vibrant hub, bringing us community connection, a place to play and belong, and a place to gain aquatic skills so that everyone can be safe in the water and drownings are prevented.